Hey, Desties and Bride friends. Today we are talking about name change. Once you get married, it's a pretty good chance that you're going to change your name, and this is the perfect episode for that. So, while changing my own name and trying to navigate my way through the process, I was able to interview the co-founder of hitchswitch.com. His name is Jake Wolf, and we went through everything related to changing your name. Seriously. We talked about the easiest way to change your name no matter what state you live in, state being in the US. I know I have all of my Desties around the world. This is helpful for both, but it's probably leaning more towards the state, like the US at the moment, but I'm sure you could probably get some things from it too. So now hitchswitch.com and newpassportphoto.com are amazing resources to help you change your name. If you're changing your name, or if you're thinking about changing your name, you really want to pay attention to this. This is one of those, get your notepad, probably want to listen to this again because there's so much in here. We talked about the difference between a marriage application, marriage license, and marriage certificate. Yes, those are three very different things. I didn't understand what they were, and Jake went through them all for me. And we also talked about what you should do if you're going to go through a legal ceremony, depending on the country that you decide to get married in, versus a civil. We talked about everything related to changing your name, whether it's specific to marriage, death, children, and even divorce, because it's important to know what you should be doing and thinking about. We even talked about men changing their names. I didn't even realize that was a thing. So yes, we talked about that too. How to change your name as a same-sex couple. We covered all bases. So the hitchswitch.com process is extremely easy. I had absolutely no problems with it. Jake Wolf did gift me a membership, so I was able to use the hitchswitch.com to change my name. And then I also have the newpassportphoto.com, their newer company too, which helps you with changing your name on your passport. Totally different process. So give me a thumbs up if you're interested in hearing a review and getting some more details about that. But no matter what, if you don't decide to use hitchswitch.com, which doesn't make sense, but if you decide not to use them, this information is not specific to Hitchswitch. It's just about changing your name, no matter where you're getting married. So listen in. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you're looking for any of the details, we talked about a few things. All of the links and details are waiting for you in DESTILAND. That link is below as well. And as you know, this is a Desti Marathon. So we're keeping the episodes going from season 1 of the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings podcast. And I'm so excited to share season 2 with you guys in 2019. It's going to be awesome. All of these from season 1 was audio since it was a specific podcast, but now we're doing video since we're here on Desti TV. And starting for season 2, all interviews, all videos are videos. So if you're excited about it, if you want these tips and all of this greatness coming to you, make sure that you subscribe and ding that bell so that you are notified every single time there's a new video. We're going Monday through Friday, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it too. And also, if you're planning a wedding, give me that hashtag I'm a Desti and let me know when and where you're getting married so that I can continue to get you great advice and make sure that it's relevant to you in your wedding. So again, I'm a Desti in the comments below. If you ever have any questions, let me know. Jake, thank you for helping me personally with changing my name. I don't know what I would have done without you and hitswitch.com. And more than that, thank you for what you've done for us. So you guys, again, everything's waiting for you in DESTILAND. There's actually a little gift in there too. So you click DESTILAND, you'll be able to see what's going on. Jake was given all types of gifts, so check it out and see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Jake Wolf of hitchswitch.com, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, so all right, let's get to business now.
Perfect. I saw the questions, reviewed everything, but I follow your lead, so just tell me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I like it. So thank you. Of course, we thank you for sharing and being a part. You are officially a bride, friend, so welcome and thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess for starters, you are the co-founder of hitchswitch.com.
Mm-hmm.
How did hitchswitch.com come to fruition?
Well, it's sort of a funny story. When you were telling me your experience about how you started podcasting and everything there, Josh and I met in law school. Went to law school here in the city, so we're attorneys by trade. But neither of us really wanted to be attorneys. We just were working. He was in finance. I worked for a startup out of college, and we decided we wanted to go back to school. Met on the first day, and I was like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "I didn't get into a better business school." And I was like, "Yeah, me too." So we're here. We're here in law school. But we met, and we always said we wanted to do something together. After graduating, Josh was married after the second year. I was married after we graduated after the third year, and we were both working in the city. And my wife, we were married probably for like 2 or 3 months at that point. Lauren, she was like, "I really want to change my name, but I have no idea what to do, where to go, how to start it. So
Right.
I wish I could pay somebody to do this for me." And same sort of thing. It was like the light bulb moment where it's like, you know what? Let me see what's out there. There's really nothing there. So I called Josh and I said, "Hey, there's this crazy idea. What do you think about it?" He said, "Let's do it." He's like, "My wife still hasn't changed her name like a year and a half later." He, has no, again, same problem as Lauren. And we realized that it probably wasn't, just an isolated issue, that we people probably, encounter this all the time. And so we built our first site. We did it on WordPress, sort of by ourselves, just patching things together. I could email you a version of that first site. It was pretty comical, I guess, to look back on it now. And then once we realized we sort of had a product there and a service, that we were able to, find a real developer to get sort of things off the ground. And that's just sort of how, I guess the genesis of it and how it began.
Wow. So yeah. How long ago was that? What year was that?
You're also frozen. I don't know if that's me or you.
I can hear you, I can see you, but I see that my picture is frozen for some reason. But
As long as you can hear me. Right?
Yeah, we'll ignore that. I have no idea. I'm trying to play with it. I realized that my face was stuck in the middle, but I swear I'm with you. I'm sure it'll kick back. But yeah, so what year did you start?
We started in 2000. We launched the site in 2000, the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. So about 5 years now.
This is crazy. Yeah, that's why I was so happy to have you guys on, because I knew that you existed, but everybody just doesn't know everything. So you are definitely out there and you're in the media. So if we open a Cosmo, we might see it, or there's just Google it. Anything, how do I change my name? I'm sure that will absolutely come up. That's how I found you. But yeah, how does the process work?
Well, in terms of the sort of basic process, in order to legally change your name, you need your marriage certificate. A lot of people sometimes get confused between, or use them interchangeably, the license and certificate. The license is when, before you get married, you go to, if you're living in Pittsburgh, the local courthouse, the county clerk, apply for your marriage license, and once you apply, pay the fee, you then have a ceremony, whether it's religious, before a judge, whatever it might be, and as soon as you're officially married, the city, state where you were married sends you the marriage certificate about 10 to 15 days after your wedding, just depending on how backlogged I guess they are. But as soon as you have your marriage certificate in hand, that's the document that legally allows you to change your middle and or last name. So before you're legally married, you can sort of get things in order, but in order to actually facilitate the change, you need that legal document in hand.
In hand.
Exactly, the marriage certificate. The way it sort of works with us, we wanted to make everything as easy and streamlined as possible because, looking at it from sort of the human aspect, it's, as we were even discussing a little bit earlier, it's your wedding, it's about you, everything is, about that day. And then we sort of, after the wedding, sometimes, it's not the same feeling. So we really wanted to carry that through and make it as easy as possible, the name change process for our clients. So, what we have done is we have created through, oh, there you are, back. Well, it's always weird to speak to
I know. I was like, let me just so you guys know, we record via Skype, so we're looking at each other, and then I had a frozen moment, a long one, and I'm just watching him speak, and I'm just like, how can I make this work? Because it's weird. It's harder to talk to just a random frozen face. So we're back.
If I crack a bad joke, it's like, well,
right.
That's but what we really looked at sort of what people go through when they change their name, especially now between social media, the government, social security, driver's license, passport. We're like, okay, how could we simplify this?
Right.
So we created something that we called our Easy Form. It's basically a one-page application that takes all of the relevant information our clients need to facilitate their name change on social security, driver's license, passport, driver's title and registration, schools, credit cards, airlines. The list goes on. Netflix, Hulu, anything that you could.
Seriously. Everything. Utilities, everything.
Exactly. And for example, if we had a client who, lives somewhere in, let's say, North Dakota, and there's a local bank that we don't have on file, we tell all of our clients, send us an email, we'll get you the information within 24 hours. And that's just all part of the service. We're really here to sort of act as a guide for people to help them change their name, because when you're going through this process, and a lot of people, when they're going through it alone, it's daunting. They sometimes don't know where to begin. Right. So that's sort of where we came in. And as I was saying, we created this Easy Form. It takes all of their relevant information. The attorneys and us made sure that we don't take any sensitive information, so we'll never ask for social security numbers, driver's license numbers, anything that, people out there want to steal. So when you receive your Hitch Switch package, we have 3 packages or 3 services right now. It's our Printed Home, where you get immediate access to your forms, you print everything on your own, and follow sort of the step-by-step instructions and send it off. We have our full service, where we print everything for you, give you stamped and addressed envelopes, so you can just literally sign, send it in.
Is that second? That's the second package?
That's the second package.
Okay. And
then the third package, the Platinum package, is everything in the other 2, plus you also get a passport photo. And you just take it easily on our app, press click, take your photo, send it to us, and we send it to you, a few days after we receive it. And you also get your personal name change concierge to guide you through the process as well.
Great. And we are going to talk about that passport service too, because I did see that. So we're going to hold on for that one. But it's great to know that that's a piece of that, because I'm telling myself that because I was about to start with those questions, but I'm not going to do that right now. But so we have the 3 different options. Now, how do you keep track of different states and what each state needs?
When we first started, it was literally, I guess that's the
attorney in you.
To law school and being able to look over documents over and over and over again. So we look through 50 states, because we're in all 50 states in the District of Columbia. So we literally went to every DMV website, traveled, grabbed if we were somewhere, got the forms, and then once we sort of had the forms at that time, and once we sort of took the next step and had a real programmer help us build out the site, we sort of have, it's basically like a Google alert that
changes.
If there's a change on one of the DMV pages, we're alerted. We update the form so everything is up to date. And, we crawl live essentially, but every 24 hours it takes to update the form. And if, for example, a client ordered a year ago and they said that, oh, the passport form, is it still valid, whatever it might be, we'll send them whatever they need at that time. And it's really, the paperwork is just, unfortunately, I would say, part of it, because that's how it works right now until somebody thinks of a better solution for that. But it's really the service, because it goes back to people not knowing, again, where to start, not in some ways understanding how difficult this can be. And that's why we created Itchwitch to be that call, because I don't know, we've all tried calling, the DMV, for example, in your state.
On hold forever.
Your passport for the State Department's like on hold. You speak to people who sometimes don't understand exactly what your issue is or how to troubleshoot with you or anything like that. And we really see ourselves as the intermediary through all of that. So our clients are able to get the answers they need immediately, easy, straightforward, and hopefully take a lot of the aggravation out of it, because you really shouldn't start your first days of this. It sounds a little cheesy, like marital bliss. Like if you're deciding to change your name, like what the hell is going on here? This is crazy. I don't know where to begin. And then, a lot of people, it just depends. Sometimes they get frustrated. They don't change their name. And then the impetus to change their name is when the couple has a child. Why is that? Because if the woman has not changed her name, on the nursery, it'll say the mother's last name, like baby. My wife's last name was Merchant. It'll say baby Merchant. And at that, a lot of times the husband is like, oh, I wanted to say my name, or whatever the traditions might be. So that's sort of, if they don't do it within that first year, a lot of times the impetus then happens. We have tons of clients who are pregnant, just gave birth, and are like, okay, it's now
time
to do it. Exactly.
Interesting. And you mentioned that so when you have your marriage, marriage license versus marriage certificate. And I'm asking this question. Obviously, I'm newly married, but so you do the application, which is what we did. Mm-hmm. And then you have to wait till like a couple of days and they give you the marriage license, which means that you are licensed to get married, right?
Exactly.
And then once you go through the process, in our case, we went to a courthouse and the judge did it. He files all the paperwork, and then we ask for a certificate, right?
Yeah, you don't even have to ask for it. The certificate is sent to you in the mail.
In our case, in Pennsylvania, where we are, I had to ask for it, oddly enough.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they didn't send us one, and they told us, and I had to pay $10 for a certified copy. So, I don't know. I'm sure but see, that's probably because I might have missed some fine print and didn't read something, so I have no idea. But we did end up having to order it, which we ordered it online, and it was what it was.
Sent it that way, yeah, because after you have that's interesting. You actually have to tell me more about that, because that's actually the first time I've ever heard that, because in our experience, in all states that we've seen, when after you file the $35 for your license, and after you, whether in your case it's a judge, religious official, whatever it might be, they file the paperwork with the state or the county or wherever you're filing it, and they send you the first one's free essentially. They send you the marriage certificate, and then if you wanted a certified copy, you go through. You were saying, so that's
what? I just thought about something. I think so. The way it worked, and I'm going to send this so I can get clarity. And then I swear you guys, I will be clear once this episode goes out and I'll give you an answer. But since we're here and I have you, I'm going to use you. So absolutely. I think that it had, I'm looking at it. Hold on one second. I'm funny. Okay. So, because I think it had pieces to it. You know what? So say, in this case, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, because on here it says something like,
If you want extra copies, maybe, or another copy, or a certified
or
copy.
like it basically made a thing. The person who, oh, it's for sentimental value only. This is for you to keep for your records, and it says for sentimental value only, which made me think that I needed a certified copy so that I could move forward and do what I'm doing.
And your certified copy looked the same way, I'm assuming.
You're
Pretty
probably
much.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the one, but on the back of it, it has like a stamp also, like of the day or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. See, we're getting some clarity. I'll add this note into the show notes for you guys while you're listening. But
we also have, it's interesting you say that because we also have on YouTube our channel, not to shamelessly plug it.
Plug.
But the reason why we have that channel is because we took some of our, FAQs, because you're not the only one, Omi, who's gone through this. Like literally, it's every person, whether male, female, changing their name. They go through these same things. No one guides them. No one tells them where to start. If you're going through, sometimes you speak to people in their 60s or 70s, and they're like, "Oh, I just changed my name when I was married," but like, yeah, maybe with Social Security, whatever it might be. But today, everyone has so many accounts, so many different things.
Seriously.
It's like it's a daunting thing. They don't know where to start. So on YouTube, we created just various questions that people have in sort of like little 45-second clips. And one of them is like marriage license versus certificate. Like if you're going on your honeymoon immediately after, do you book in your maiden name or your married name?
That was a thing too. Yeah.
Just sorts of things that people always sort of ask about that they don't really have a guide to. So that's why we created that channel to just have people, be able to hopefully, clients, not clients, doesn't matter. It's just we want to, it's obviously we're a for-profit business, all of that, but we do want to help however we can, because it just, there's no reason for anyone to sort of go through this alone. And even if they don't use us, that's perfectly cool. But at least hopefully there's something out there that could help them. So that's why we did that.
Right. I love that. So I will find you or send me, we'll figure out a way, and I'll add that to the link as well. That would be extremely helpful, obviously to me, but then I'm sure to everyone else at the same time. So another question. Does it matter whether it's just via marriage or divorce, or does it matter what my reason for changing my name if I use your service?
Yeah, the reason why we focus on marriage and the D word, we when we first started,
right? Dun dun dun.
Yeah, not divorce, no, but the
the death.
Yeah.
That one too. That's a big dun dun dun.
I'm a perpetual optimist, so I hope it's I tried to avoid those things. No, but the reason when we first started, we actually had a drop down that said marriage, divorce, because when someone gets divorced, it's sort of the same thing. Instead of the marriage certificate, it's the divorce decree. That's the legal document that allows you to change your name back if you want to. But being in sort of the happy space of weddings, we didn't want to market divorce as well. And in the United States, every year, about 2 to 2.2 million people, obviously fluctuates a little bit, get married. So we figured we really wanted to focus on that. So we took that down. We've had clients, when we first started, and then have called us, a couple years later and be like, "Do you guys do divorce?"
Right. You did me for my marriage, but I need you again.
Yeah, we've helped them that way. But unlike marriage, where, and again, there's really no statistics on this, but from our internal stats and sort of our best guess and things that, the Knot or Wedding Wire have put out there, say about 75 to 80% of the people change their name in the United States in one way, their last name in one way or another. So that's why we figured we would, go down that path instead of the other path. And also, depending on a divorce, it's not necessarily that same name change, because if someone was married for years and they have kids, a lot of times they like to keep the same last name as their child or children, even though they're no longer married. So
right.
It wasn't the same sort of, thought process that marriage was. So that's why we focus on marriage. But divorce is the same thing. And then again, these really only go towards middle and last names. If you wanted to change your name, from Omi and instead of OMI to OMIIE or something like that,
Right.
you would have to go through a different process altogether, where you'd have to fill out a name change petition with your local county clerk, go before a judge, have a hearing, post notice, and I'm using quotes, in a newspaper, making people aware of your new name. And because there are many steps there, and again, it's not as high a percentage nearly as marriage, that's why we focus on marriage only for the most part.
Now, it's funny that you say that, because I was wondering how that part works, or if the court and the newspaper is a necessity, because one of the things that you read, of course, like when you're just trying to find out information on how to change your name, that is a piece of the puzzle. Do any states require you to do that based off of marriage? Like if you have your marriage license, do you have to jump through that hoop?
That's the beautiful thing about when you get married. You don't have to do any of that. Your marriage certificate is the document that lets you do it. It's only if you wanted to do it for another reason outside of marriage or divorce. If someone wanted to change their name to XYZ.
Right, Meta World Peace or whatever.
Exactly. I was going to use the same thing. But it's exactly the same thing. If you want to change your name to Meta World Peace, you have to go through that whole whole process. But the marriage certificate, it simplifies it. You don't have to do that. That marriage certificate is the only thing you need.
That is amazing news. And that's going to be, I'm adding that to I have my misconceptions that I collect through time, but that is a huge thing. I'm sure you're aware of that. But people think that that's a part of it. You have to do that. And nobody wants to do that piece. And I actually just met someone who did do that, as we were talking about name changing. So I kind of want to tell her, you didn't have to do that. But anyway, you should have used Hitch Switch. And you wouldn't have had to do that. No. So great. That is wonderful. Now, what about hyphenating your name, or doing the middle, making your maiden name your middle name, and then take, that?
Exactly. You could do that in any state. A lot of states, some states only allow you to change your last name. Some states allow you to change your middle and last name. So as you said there, you could move your maiden name to the middle. Or you could hyphenate, keep your current middle name and then go maiden name, married name, maiden name, whatever sort of hyphenation you want. But even though technically, New York, for example, says you cannot change your middle name, you can only change your last name. That's sort of, what's, I guess, the letter of the law. But officially, as long as you fill out your marriage license when you're applying for that license, and it asks you, do you want to change your name? As long as you click yes there and write the new name in the box or in the section of the license, you're good to go.
So you need to already know in advance that that's what you want to do, and make that clear at that moment.
Exactly. Because I'd say about 50% of the states actually ask you that sort of affirmative question. If, hey, are you going to change your name? Check yes. And you could sort of write it there. Some states don't ask you that question. So in those states, like California, for example, as long as it's any sort of variation of your current middle name as well as your last name and your spouse's last name, it works. So if my name is Jake Wolf and my wife's last name is Merchant, I could be Jake Wolf Merchant. I could get rid of my middle name of Abraham and put Wolf there, and then Merchant is the last name, as long as it's some sort of iteration of those current names that you go by. It's good to go. The mistake sometimes that people make is when they're filling it out, they don't want to change their name at that time, and then they decide they want to later on, and you're in a state where it affirmatively asks you to change your name. Technically speaking, you'd have to go through the legal name change process, but we always have workarounds around that as well. But I would say if you think at any point you might want to change your name and you're in a place like New York, even if your marriage certificate says your married name on it, it only says it on the marriage certificate. If you don't actually go to Social Security, the passport agency, the DMV, the State Department, you're not actually changing it. So for anyone who's sort of on the fence, it's always better to be able to at least have that marriage certificate with what you might want, because the worst case scenario, it just sits in your closet or in a safe or wherever it might be. But in the best case scenario, if you decide, 10 years after the fact, whether it's a child, whether it's, hey, I just want to have the same last name as my spouse, you're all set. So you don't have to, go through the hoops of a legal name change.
Okay. What would you say are... Okay, actually, let me keep going in this vein because you're giving me more questions. So first, with you mentioned because we have a marriage. Like, could my husband change his name to my last name?
Mm-hmm.
He could do that
if he wanted to. Absolutely.
Okay, and then so I guess moving into like same-sex marriage, is there anything that they should be aware of or that we should just know when we're deciding to go there?
Yeah, no, as soon as the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage, same-sex couples have the same rights when it comes to name change as couples who are of opposite sex. It's absolutely perfect. They could both change their name. One could change the name. They can hyphenate their name. Same exact rules apply in all of the states now.
Great. Love it.
Absolutely.
Do you remember when you guys did your first same sex? Was that like an exciting moment?
Yeah, it was probably like a year in, I would say, or 9 months in. And at that point, obviously the ruling, it wasn't even before the court. So each state sort of at that point made their own rules of what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, and I remember the gentleman calling me up, and he was sort of an amateur filmmaker. And when we got that, I realized, I'm like, okay, because here it's like our biggest thing is making sure we are upfront with our clients and manage their expectations. So when I saw the same-sex order come through, I saw it was for him and his husband. I called him up and I'm like, hey, you could absolutely use our service, but because it wasn't legal at the time, where I forget which state he was changing it. I'd have to look that up. But I go, because it wasn't legal, you could absolutely attempt it, but it might not work because it's not currently legal in your state. And, I'll happily give you a refund or, just so you're aware, because I don't want you to get frustrated
right.
to go through this process and get stonewalled. But he was like, no, he's like, I'm going to try it. He's like, I'm going to take my film crew with me and sort of document the process to see what happened. So he was pretty awesome. I haven't heard much from him after that.
So it must have worked out.
He actually did it, and when was aggressive or went to town if people were sort of trying to stop him, but he was all for it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to document it and we'll see what happens. But now it's none of those things. We don't even have to worry about it because it's good. It's official. It's good anywhere. Even not even the same sex angle, but it's the angle of if you're an opposite sex couple and, male, female, and I wanted to change my last name to my wife's last name because so many of these laws are so antiquated. Some states said the man couldn't change his name. So the same-sex ruling, the Oldfield ruling, not only allowed same-sex marriage to, have the same, rules, regulations, etc. as everybody else, but it also gave men, the ability to change their last name to their wife's name.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's something I would have never thought about or known, of course. So.
Well, we only know that because we have spent a lot of time in name change, but it was great. So now, like I said, it's perfect anywhere anywhere you go in the U.S. So.
Do you get a lot of men who change their names?
I would say probably about 2% of our clients are are males who are probably a little less than like 1.5% are males who might be changing their name to their wife's name. I would say at this point probably about 5 to 7% are same sex couples. So when you were saying males who change their name, that's sort of just in the opposite sex, that he
Right.
changed
Oh, well, yeah,
her name.
yeah.
Then obviously, for the same sex couples, it's 1.5% ish. It just varies. It's funny because when it comes to that, you sort of sometimes see people's like as liberal as someone might be, like their traditional values. It's like, no, I'm gonna make my wife take my name. And as long as I say to these people, like, because I'm always curious, like, why? I don't know, because that's what my dad did and that's what my grandfather did.
Right.
I'm like,
Okay.
whenever I hear that, I love to like joke around with people. I'm like, yeah, that's good, but like you could change your last name to her name, like that's perfectly good too, So it's interesting. So not a lot, but definitely a few.
Okay. And then I sent out a question. I let everybody, I put out a post on Facebook to ask people if they had any questions since I was bringing you onto the show. And one of the questions, you kind of touched on it, but when it comes to children, how can you help change children's names?
I mean,
like after marriage?
You mean so if somebody had kids before and they want to change, and now we're married again, and they want to change their children's names to the name of their spouse.
Right. So if I had a child and then I married my husband, I'm changing my name, but can you also help with changing a child's name?
We could absolutely help in terms of guiding you in sort of the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, because the marriage certificate's only good between the two people getting married, the kids would have to go before the judge and legally change their last name to the new last name that the couple would want for them. Because the marriage certificate doesn't apply to children the same way it applies to a couple.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I guess that makes sense because that child's father that could be a whole thing. So I guess that makes sense. It's not.
Yeah. And it's also, and depending on that situation, it's always good if the couple knows that they want to do that for their children, whether it's adopting them or whatever it might be. It's always the younger the better, because if they do it when the kid's 6, they only have a social security card, maybe a passport. But if they do it when the kid is 16, all of a sudden they have a lot of different accounts to go through. So once they actually have that document, we could absolutely assist in the name change, potentially the name change order. We could absolutely assist, but in terms of getting back to the question, does the marriage certificate apply to children coming into the marriage? Not in the same way. It has to go through the legal name change process.
Okay. Thank you. So around about how many weddings have you done? Well, I shouldn't say weddings. About how many name changes have you serviced?
We hopefully at some point this summer are going to be about 450,000. So.
Oh my God. I was not expecting that number. Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We've gotten very lucky. We've had great partners. Do you know Kleinfeld Bridal?
Yeah.
Yeah, from TLC's Say Yes to the Dress. They're a partner in our business. And then we have an exclusive relationship, not a partnership, but it's like as close to a partnership as you could get with the Knot. Who
I did see that too.
Mm-hmm, promotes us everywhere, and it's just a great thing because they get their name out to all of their naughties, I believe they're called, and it's great. So by having those partners, we're able to do what we do best, help people change their names. When we first started, you always get, as I'm sure you as well, you get unsolicited advice from people thinking they're like, oh, we could tell you exactly, listen, you're starting a podcast. Let me tell you the best way to, do it and monetize it or whatever else that they have. We would have unsolicited advice of people being like, no, you should speak to wedding planners or go to catering halls and all of that. And the issue with that is that when you're selling something between $29 and $89, which is the price range of our service, even the best wedding planner in the world only does
so much, yeah,
a year, 100 weddings a year. So if we wanted to do this,
it'd take you forever to get out there and get the word out. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why we partnered. We sort of looked to see where the reach was, and through these different partners, we're able to reach a lot of people, which is very cool.
That's pretty, yeah. Huh. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You gotta let me know when you hit that 450 or roundabout. Not at the moment. I know I'm not special enough to get the moment yet, but So what do you wish that every person who wanted to change their name knew about the process?
I would say that what I wish they knew is how complicated it was, and that sometimes it's, people go down this path of like, again, don't know where to start. Google search, everyone starts with their Google to be like, all right, how do I change my name? What do I do? That sort of thing. Just for them to really understand how hard it is overall, but at the same time that they're not alone, because whether it's through something like Hitch Switch, whether it's through reading various articles or whatever out there, you're able to do it. The one thing, again, on top of that I wish they knew is there's also a lot of information out there that isn't necessarily correct. So
yeah, if told you someone. So as far as I knew, I needed to go to a courthouse still and post my name in a newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of wrong information where people, will say something and then on Reddit or something like that, and then everyone else is like, oh yeah, that's true. But unfortunately, it's not true.
Yeah.
So before you start the process, if you use a company like Hitch Switch, we're obviously here to help you avoid those landmines. But if you're going out doing it on your own, which is perfect as well, just make sure you are reading and seeing and looking at reputable sources. Most of the time, if you see like an article on a place like the Not Beautiful, Wedding Wire, My Wedding, those places are cool. If you see it on like a government site, obviously even better. But if you just see it, something on a message board or something there, I promise, and I'm not just saying this, shoot us an email, customer service at Hitch Switch, and just ask your question, because we've seen it all, and we can at least guide you from, even if we weren't doing this and you saw it and you were like, oh, I have to post notice, just send us an email. We'll write you back within, as long as it's during our business hours, we answer all emails within 20, 25 minutes at most, and that's long. So we'll make sure we'll at least be able to guide you down that right path. So that's really what I would say. I wish people knew that if you're doing it by yourself, don't get overwhelmed, and make sure you read and see things that are reputable.
Huh. Yeah, I like that. And the first thing that popped in my mind is just that, if we really, like with you sharing and giving us the information, we really can understand what the process entails, then it also allows you to be able to like justify the cost. You know what I mean? Now I don't know how you keep your costs so low, quite frankly, but I'm assuming because you guys have a good volume, or you got it down to a science at this point now. But a lot of people just try to save a couple pennies, and you don't really know what you're really doing and how long it's going to take you and how stressful it could really be. So just, I think that once you can value the work, then you're able to understand and be fine with that cost at the same time. So.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. Obviously, we're volume based. That's our goal. But something important is that, and I'm not just again saying this. Any client who calls, if there's any issue, anything they want to know, besides I have a fabulous team here. Josh, I have a great team that takes care of everything. But if there's something that you're not happy with, I'm always here. Like I believe so strongly in what we do and how we help people because I've actually seen the sort of, firsthand evidence of that we love it. And we're here to, assist in any way possible. And for the cost, it's obviously the most expensive package is obviously expensive for some people, but we really wanted to keep it at a cost where it didn't prohibit anybody from actually making the purchase, because we are, at the end of the day, a service business. We want to make sure each and every person is happy. It's my goal, no matter how many clients we do, that everyone feels that they are our only client. And it's that sort of, idea, I truly believe, that has helped us continue to grow and help people change their names throughout the country, because we really just want to make sure everyone is happy, on the right path going forward in the service business. And because indirectly, I'd say, we're involved in people's lives, one of the big things for us is also giving back. So from a portion of every order at first, because primarily we service women, we gave to breast and ovarian cancer charities a portion of each order. Recently, our office now is we're on 93rd Street in Manhattan, and across the street is a school called the Manhattan Children's Center, and it's a school for kids with special needs, mostly autism. So now we also give part of each Hitch Fish order to the school.
I love that.
The fun thing about it is that a lot of these kids now are getting to be like 16, 17, 18 years old, and obviously they're not going to be going to college or going, past the school takes them till they're 21. But after that, they can function, but obviously they can't function on the same level as someone without the disability. So currently we have 4 interns who come in, 1 day a week to 2 days a week from the school, who help us stamp envelopes, box the packages, because it's great for them. So the reason I'm saying that is because it's, obviously for profit, that goes without saying, but we really want to give back to our clients, to people in the community, and because when you go through this name change process, it's very personal, and any way we can sort of be part of the sort of, intimacy of what our clients are living with or going through, we like to do that.
Wow. Well, yes. I know that's amazing. That is. I mean, I'd like to thank you personally for that, and for just being great, being wonderful, thinking about everybody and everything. So that's wonderful. I commend you on that one. So I was going to ask you, how are you different than other similar companies, but you're already kind of getting me there, and I'm understanding a little bit more. But are your services, how do you compare between the different types of name change services that are out there?
That's a great question. That really is a great question. And as I'm sure your listeners hear, I talk a lot, and I apologize for that.
Do not apologize. This is a podcast. If you do not talk, we do not have a show at all.
Fair enough, but I don't want to be overwhelming. So interrupt me if there's something you think of or anything else. But
I'm an interrupter. You can ask my husband. I am the major interrupter, so you don't have to worry about that one. You're great. You are.
When we first started, we looked, and there are a few other similar sort of name change services out there, but that's really where the similarity ends. If you look at other companies out there, and I always say to people, listen, do your research.
Right.
Do your research. Look, see what you want to do. If you want to use a service and you don't use us, I think you're foolish, but you can make that decision on your own. Because if you look at some of the other services out there, they don't really, there's no way to contact them. They have sort of just a blank, template for contact us here. And of course, we always have sort of our hands on the pulse to see if someone's doing something different or innovative or that might be out there, because if they are, I'd love to see it and see if we can, make it better. But besides not having, a name or names behind what they do, not being able to contact them, on top of it, there's some of these services who just give false information. For example, post 9/11, the identification laws in the United States changed. So when you're changing your name at the DMV, no matter what, you have to go in person. So sometimes, though, you look at these other sites and they're like, oh, everything can be done online. So they say to their clients, hey, you could go into the you could just do the DMV online. That's not the case, obviously. And then leads to that sort of negative stigma of, oh, why did I pay for this service? Well, you paid for a service that was giving you false information, so of course you're going to be upset. We've had tons of people try somebody else at first and come over to us just because of who we are, and that's, I guess, not knowing much about the other business models other than just the, sort of little details they have on their sites. That's really something that irks me. That, like I said, they don't stand behind what they do. I literally will, and Josh and everyone here will stand behind every single thing that goes out. And also the biggest thing is, fortunately, we've gotten to the point where I don't even really look at the other services out there as competitors, because, just their sort of basic information that's out there. You can see they don't have much traffic. They don't really get very much engagement on social or whatever it might be.
Right.
My biggest competitor, and again in quotes, is letting people know you're out there. Every year, it's another 2 million people getting married. Every year we're growing, which is very cool, but we still just have changed just such a small percentage of the names. So my biggest sort of competitor, our competition, is showing people the value of the service, showing them that they could really benefit by using us, and then just continuing to get that to get the name out there. Because, like I said, with a lot of false information out there, people sometimes think, oh, I don't need to do this, or it's not worth it, or whatever it might be. But sometimes it's just a good thing. We've simplified things to such a degree. One of the things when you get a hitch switch package service is, for example, if you're applying for a passport, there's 3 different passports depending on what you're applying for. And if you have a passport issued within the last 365 days, you use one form. If it's more than a year, use another form. If it's a new passport, a third form. If it's a missing or lost passport or damaged passport, a different form. And each of the forms before the actual application are 4 to 5 pages of government text. And I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people don't really read every page of that. So what have we done? We've read all the instructions for our clients, simplified it down to 1 page of 6 bullet points. Do A, B, C, D, E, sign here, put your passport picture here, send here, good to go. And that's, sort of what we've done there to continue to simplify, the process. So it's.
Wow, you sound so much like a lawyer right now. Like well, and that's not a normal. I'm married to a lawyer. So just the fact that you are so very involved, and you guys read and you guys research and you guys dig like no one else digs, and you're able to just make information so much easier to comprehend. So that's the part of the lawyer that I'm feeling right now. And it's like you're in the perfect business for this right now. This is perfect for you.
I'll show you something. And you're going to see the name of this other service, right?
Okay.
But we're not going to mention it because there's no need to.
Right.
But so this other service, I want to show you this. They send you this package, right? And as you can tell.
Is that a book?
Yeah, listen. It is literally not organized pages. They send you the actual government instructions. It's just
they just collect the paperwork and send it to you.
And then they
I
also
can go to the office and get that myself. I guess that's helpful.
Listen, it's chaos, and that's what when you're saying I sound like an attorney, it made me chuckle. But our goal is, I like to think that we think about it from just the real world perspective. It's like no one wants to see just piles and piles, of paperwork. of course there's paperwork, but it's narrowed down to 18 pages in a very simple, easy to use, digest package. When you go online, it's A, B, C, D, E if you use the printed home package to get it done. And
Right. Yeah, you really like I hate to keep saying to bring the lawyer reference to it, but like you're the reason why people get lawyers. Like if you're going through something, you got to sue, you got to do whatever. You have to go through some sort of process that you know nothing about, and you're forced to get an attorney. Or you can try to do it yourself, but if you can get an attorney, the attorney reads through everything, reads through the law, they create the briefs, they do what they need to do. You make it happen, and then you bring it to your client and go, hey, I did all of this. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to do. So let's do this. And that is what you guys have applied to this name change process. And I'm just sitting here with my mouth open like, this is so great. This is so cool. Yes.
No, because we're not a legal service. But
of course. Well, yes, of course.
Yeah, no, of course. But, which I just had to say.
Yeah, I know. We do need to give that disclaimer while I'm running around yelling, you got lawyers. Okay.
But we're founded by attorneys. And like I said, we're the only company out there that I know that is like that. And because that's our background, we, just as you said, we like to make it easily digestible for anybody who is going to use Hitch because we want to make your life easy. We don't want to make it complicated and have just things sent to you and that don't make sense and just blank forms and instructions and all of that. So we've, like I said, really just want to make it streamlined, simple, straightforward, so you could get on and do and live the rest of your life the way you want to live it and not be bogged down in doing this paperwork over and over and over again.
Right. Our motto here on the Bride Friends podcast is to have the time of your life while planning the best days of your life. And after you're done with the wedding, you still want to continue on having the time of your life. So it seems like, the hitch switch might be the key to doing that.
No, I like to think so.
So
one of the keys, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are in DESTILAND. So we're going to have a little bit of Desti time, if you don't mind.
Love it.
So before I was recording, we had a little bit of a conversation and you were telling me your thoughts on destination weddings. And would you be willing to kind of share that with the group?
Absolutely. I was telling Omi before we started, my wife and I wanted a destination wedding, or at least a very, very small wedding. And the reason why destination was very appealing because we spoke and I said to Lauren, I'm like, you know what? I only want people at the wedding who would travel to wherever we were getting married. If they're not going to travel, I guess I don't care if they were here and they wouldn't care to come. So let's have a small wedding of 30 people, 20 people, whoever is going to make it out. And, it would be awesome. And we both wanted that. But because we're both the oldest in our family and the first to get married, unfortunately, our dream of, having it in the mountains or on a beach or just somewhere didn't really come to fruition. And we were married in New York, and there was about 300 people there at the end of the day. But when it comes to destination weddings, if I could do it again, I would do it in a heartbeat. And maybe if we ever renew our vows, it's like, okay, destination somewhere, because to me it's just so much more intimate, so much, it's just a completely different vibe. Instead of, loved my wedding, loved everything about it, but you were also entertaining that night. You had to make sure you said hi to everybody and with everybody and did everything that entails when you have that many people there. And obviously not saying destination weddings can't be big, but in my fantasy, I guess, it would be just, 20, 30 people, just the closest people in your life, and it would just be a completely different vibe. So you could really, enjoy the day in a different way instead of enjoy it while entertaining and making sure, you didn't say hi to your third cousin you met twice in life. Like,
right.
He's not talking to you anymore. Like, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, technically, you're not talking to me anyway, but okay.
Yeah. I remember, Lauren that's my wife, is so good about this stuff. She's like, okay, we have to go to every table. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, we have to say hi. I'm just like, okay. So like, half the wedding was spent doing that. I'm like, I just want to dance and hang out. She's like, no, we'll do that. But if you don't say hi to people, they get really offended. I was like, okay.
Right. You already got the invitation. You're already here, but now, okay.
Yeah. So that's, that's my philosophy on destination weddings. We definitely wish we could have done it. We wanted to get married in the Berkshires, in a small place, and it didn't work that way, but it was a dream. Still, if I'm daydreaming, I definitely have that idea.
Would that be your dream space? Would that be your dream place?
The Berkshires?
Yeah.
I had never been there until I met Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a house there growing up and spent a lot of summers there. So it was her dream place. I've grown to love it too. So I would say it's my dream place as well. Definitely.
3 years, do a destination vow renewal in the Berkshires.
In 2020, exactly.
2020.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was it? What was it? 2020 when Kanye runs for president. So
right. Yeah.
I'll have my destination wedding. It'll be great.
Right. So, and a specific destination wedding related name change question would be, what happens to the people who, like, say, we did not legally get married in Mexico,
mm-hmm.
but we had the option to do that, which would have involved a lot of stuff. We would have had to do blood work. We would have had to go to one little courthouse to go to another one. And then we have to have 4 people that are there. You got to be there for an event. Like, it's a whole thing. And then once you get your marriage certificate, I've got to get my terminology right. Once you get your marriage certificate from Mexico, you have to get that apostille to have it, legalized
mm-hmm.
to be acceptable here. Can I then use your service?
Absolutely. The United States recognizes marriage certificates from abroad. So, using Mexico as the example, the marriage certificate would be in Spanish.
Right.
So, when you bring it, once you have it, certified, notarized, whatever. I'm just not familiar with the overseas process as much. Whenever it's official there, when you bring it back to the United States, likely you would just need it translated.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going to these various places, if someone doesn't speak Spanish, they can read the certificate.
Right.
So because as long as it's a valid wedding overseas, and there's a list, it's not every country, but it's the majority of the countries that the United States recognizes, the certificate from that country as valid. The only step you would have to do if you had a destination wedding and were married abroad with the license from Mexico or the certificate from Mexico is that you would have to just probably have it translated once you came back to the United States in English, and then you'd be good to go.
You mentioned the list. Do you have a list of countries?
I could send it to you. I don't. Yeah, it's most of them, but it's not
right.
all of them.
All inclusive. That would be great if you could do that. I would love to share that in a post for.
I'm just gonna write myself a note so I don't forget.
And I'll send you a reminder as well if you don't mind.
Perfect.
We're writing notes.
No, but there's a method behind us writing notes. And then when you post it, they could see if someone was married outside of a country that the United States doesn't accept. They might then say, "Hey, you know what? Let's legally get married here. Then we'll just have the ceremony or reception in Mexico or Europe or wherever they choose." Because if you fall into one of those, the limited list that it's not accepted, it's just a bit of a pain because you'd have to then go through the whole process again here to.
So you just have to do it backwards or however then.
Yeah.
Right.
So
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. A lot of talking about destinations, we've had a lot of clients who obviously have destination weddings. Is that the majority they do, for the most part, legally file their marriage license in whatever state they live in.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, if they're going to go, overseas to a different country, they would, go before like a judge, for example, legally get married in their states. They have a valid U.S. marriage certificate, and then they would have everything else, overseas. That's typically what the majority do. But again, it's really up to what every couple chooses.
Right. Yeah. That's what we just decided would be best. And we do know that I was a little concerned about that because I was kind of worried that it wouldn't feel the same if it's not all legal at the same time. But the reality is, even if you do it in Mexico, you're doing the paperwork version before, and then you have your ceremony, which tends to be the case no matter where you get married. You do the paper version here, and then you go and have your ceremony. So it's just the fact that your ceremony venue is somewhere different. And we felt nowhere near that part. That was the most important, was the ceremony and the exchange of the vows and the commitment to each other and all that great stuff. So it's good to know that, just to hear from you on your side, that you also are seeing that same, somewhat of, I guess, of a trend in people doing it the legal way.
It just makes everyone's life easier. That's really what it is. So you don't have to go through, and even, if you have it translated, you have to have it notarized as well. So now you're carrying now you're carrying around your Spanish marriage certificate with your English translation with the notary signature. And it's like, what happens if you lose one, for example? It's like, we've had clients who were married overseas who didn't go the route. You didn't have to take care of everything ahead of time here, who actually filed in Mexico and did everything like that. And then they lost their certificate. They're like, can you help us? And, we're like, try, we could point you in the right direction, but it's like, it's really just, a crapshoot, especially if, let's say the couple, if they're not bilingual and they only speak English, and when they call over there, if the person who picks up doesn't speak English, it's like, you
better just find your wedding planner probably, or something. Yeah, that just sounds like a nightmare. Hadn't even considered that idea, that possibility. You lose it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, you're in real trouble. And then different countries, some countries are easier to get married in than others. Like Jamaica is much easier than Mexico. Is actually one of the more difficult. Or, like if you get married in Paris and France, it's a whole other completely different animal where you have the residency requirements, and then you've got to get married in a certain type of church and blah, 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 blah. And from my understanding, which is very minimal, here in the States, it's kind of the same idea, where some states are more difficult to change your name in than others. Would you say that?
Interesting you say that. And I think, hearing your question, by difficult, I would say the difficulties that we really see on a daily basis is the difficulty if someone doesn't fill out their marriage certificate, or their marriage license, the right way. So when the marriage certificate is issued, it could be a problem. So, for example, if my name is Jacob Abraham Wolf, and I'm in a state like New York where they affirmatively ask me on the marriage license, do you want to change your last name? Mm-hmm. And I click no. And then 6 months later, I decide I want to change my last name. Technically speaking, I'd have to go through the whole, as we discussed earlier, process before a judge, court, etc.
Right.
I didn't affirmatively make that, check at the time. That's when I've seen when people say, "Oh, it's difficult." That's sort of the difficulties,
right? Because you didn't answer it the right way.
Exactly. Some of the other difficulties that we've seen, that people sort of get that frustration level, going, if they, this is very minimal, but if they want to have a completely new name altogether. So if my last name is Wolf, my wife's last name is Merchant, and we want to change it to Smith, you think that, oh, I'm getting married, I'm going to write my last name as Smith. No, you can't. You can't do that. You have to, again, it has to be some sort of version of your name and your spouse's name. So you can't just create, an altogether new name at that point. So a lot of the difficulties that we've heard sort of stem from those sorts of issues, whether not completing it the right way, unsure if you want to change your name, that sort of thing. But, and like I said, the thing I would really recommend if you're on the fence about it, just click yes. You could change your name, you could have your marriage certificate when it's issued with your new name on it if you live in one of those states. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything because you're not actually changing
doing it. Yeah.
Just have it there as sort of a hedge against, the future if you decide that you want to change it at some point in the future. It just makes it a lot easier than going through the whole court process.
So just say yes.
Just say yes. And then again, if you're not in a state like that, it doesn't matter because they're just going to issue your marriage certificate with your name and your, birth last name and your spouse's name and their birth last name. So again, you can change to any version of what you want there. It's really just in that, I would say, 50% of states where you're affirmatively asked, you deny on the spot for whatever and then you decide a month, a year, 10 years later that you want to do something different. That's where the sort of difficulties come in. But to sort of loop it back all together, the difficulty here, no, each state is pretty much the same as long as you follow their guidelines, and the guidelines are very straightforward: middle or last name, hyphenated last name, two middle names. Like you could keep your current middle name, you could move your maiden or birth name to your middle name, so you have two middle names, new last name. As long as it's a version of what the couple currently has, it's good to go. It's when people want to make changes, do certain sort of crazier things, whatever that might be. That's when people are like, oh, it's a pain, it's hard, it's this, it's that. But if you, as you said, say yes, check it off. The worst case, you just have a marriage certificate that's sitting, in a vault somewhere with your name on it. It doesn't legally or do or make any sorts of changes at all. It's just there for the future if you so choose to use it.
Great. Well, thank you. So you have 3 different package options. Hitch Switch has 3 different package options: silver, gold, and platinum. What is it?
Printed home. The printed home, where it's the fully digital version where the client logs in, they enter their information, they then are brought to their name change dashboard, they click get started, and then all the forms are right there with the instructions to easily print out in the order that we recommend you go through the process. So that's the printed home. The full service is the same basic information, but the majority of our clients are millennials, and a lot of millennials outside of the workspace don't have access to a printer or necessarily go to the post office that often. So our full service is everything in the printed home, except we print everything for you, give you self-addressed and stamped envelopes. So all you have to do is sign, enter your sensitive information like your social, your driver's license number, whatever it might be, and stick it in the envelopes, send it off. And then the platinum package is everything in the other 2, but you also get access to Name Change Concierge, who is a team of people we have here who specifically just go and speak with our platinum clients. And you also get a passport photo in that package as well. So you have to, when you're updating your name on your passport, you need a new photo taken from the last 6 months. So we figured we'd make it easy that you could sort of do everything in one shot instead of having to go to, your local pharmacy or photo studio or whatever it might be.
Right. So this is an amazing segue into your new company. Is it new? Is this new?
Yeah, it's been around now for probably 2-ish years, but we really haven't promoted it outside of Hitch Switch because it's for us, it's just sort of a natural segue that people, we want to make it easy. We want to make, the ability to take your passport photo sort of on your terms in your house. You could take it as many times as you want before you submit it and to us. And it's just really to, the tagline we have for that is no more mugshots, because you look at a lot of passport photos and they're sometimes not, they don't just, depict people in their finest moment. So, you're able to sort of do it at home that way. So that's what we've created there. And that idea came, which is funny, not from, even though it's like, duh, why didn't we think of this at the beginning, when 99.8% of our clients apply for a passport and they all need a photo.
Right.
But the idea actually came when my daughter, she's now 4.5, when she was about 4 months old, we were going overseas, so she needed a passport. So I went to CVS and I was like, yeah, I need to take a photo of this baby. So the guy was like, okay. So he took a piece of construction paper, maybe like a 3 foot by 3 foot piece of construction paper, put it on on one of those, like on a counter by the photo booth. He stood over her with the photo and tried to take it. And as I'm making sure she doesn't wiggle off.
Right.
And at that moment, I'm like, you know what? We can make this a lot easier. So it was that sort of triggered in my mind, okay, we can make this easier. So we built the passport app, and it's it's the perfect thing for our clients. So they, obviously they want to go to a place like CVS or Walgreens, perfect. But a lot of people, if they want to, give their shot that they like, because you have your passport for 10 years, it's just something to keep in mind to make that easy, and so you get the shot that you want.
Right. And we can find this at newpassportphoto.com, right?
Exactly.
And then it's also an app, and it's in
Google Play and
iTunes.
iTunes, yeah. So it's we haven't promoted it too, because when you're dealing with sort of photo technology, there's a lot of kinks. So we've worked a lot of them out, but it's still, I'd say it's 98% good to go. But it's still, sometimes the user experience sometimes gets a little glitchy, to be, like I said, I'm completely honest with what we do. That's
absolutely.
We're ready to rock and roll. Passport, you'll always get a perfect shot, but sometimes for the user, it's a little it's a little tricky sometimes if it doesn't let you necessarily take if you're in a background and it says it's too dark or too light. That's obviously to make sure we could actually.
It's right.
But it's there, and it's definitely improving, because if your listeners look at it, they'll see some, to be frank, negative reviews, and we've taken that, and we just launched a new version, or coming out with a new one as well in the next couple of days. So all those negative reviews should be gone in the future. But that's sort of where we are with that. Okay.
And so it's funny, I was thinking. So the idea behind it is funny. I have no idea why that happened. So I can take my phone and I can do it via selfie, or I could have someone else do it for me.
Exactly.
And then it goes to you, and then you guys will print it and add it as a part of my package.
Exactly. It ships. The name change and the photo ship separately, so you'll get the name change first typically, and then the photo, either depending how quickly you take the photo, either that day as well, if it comes in the same day of your name change, the next day, whatever it might be. But it ships in 2 different packages, and we've created within the app, the guidelines, so you know where to put your shoulders, so you don't take a full body shot. It's really shoulders up, and we've put the proper spacing in, so you have enough room above your head on the sides as well. So yeah, you go in there, take it. If you like it, press send, and it comes submit. It comes right to us. If you don't like it, take it again till you do like it. And as soon as you do, we print it. We have like a professional photo processing printer here, so we print it, get it out to you, and you're good to go. Okay.
And I guess just to make it clear, when I change my name, I'm going to need a new passport. So that, right? Because you have to, you can't just change your name and use your old photo. That's not an option.
No, yeah,
Okay.
you get a new passport, you're gonna need the new photo.
Photo as well. I just wanted to make that one clear. Okay. Okay, so you guys have everything going on. You're kind of just obviously you're the name change kings, and I'm saying kings because it's two
You're
male
making
founders. And now you guys are taking over the passport photo scene, which is really great. Like no one wants to go to FedEx or CVS. Everybody just, I mean, you want to have the option to do it at home, and most people take the best photos that way also. So what is next? Do you guys have anything else coming up that we should know about?
we're we're just in the process of sort of looking at a few other things, but nothing in the immediate pipeline. It's
Okay.
really, our like we said, when you have the name change and the recurring brides and grooms, 2 million of them every year. Until I get very close to that number, there's always tons of work to be done with the passport app. We're actually in the process of I get introducing it to universities, because when you're under 21, your passport is updated every 5 years, not every 10. So if you're over 20. So most kids, young adults in college, if they're either applying for a passport for the first time, or they are renewing their passport sometime during their 4 years, we are partnering and we're piloting it hopefully in the next month or two in some schools in New York, that they'll be able to go to their term abroad office if they're going overseas,
Right.
download the app, take the photo, get their passport application all sort of in one centralized place,
Yeah.
and then go from there. So those are sort of things in the pipeline. But because there's so many people who need photos and so many people who change their names, until we hit like a real, if we're doing 400,000 every year, I might start looking towards other things. But until that point, it's like there's tons of work to be done, and it's just exciting every day, because every day we want to get people out there and into us. And while we've grown, which was great, and it's exciting to see, there's still just whether it's name change or passport photo, they're just people still don't know about us, because it's just the nature when there's so many people out there. It's one of those things. So it's just to continue to get the word of mouth and our name, and just keep making people happy during these sort of monotonous sometimes tasks, and just helping them save just a tremendous amount of time in the process.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it sounds like you guys obviously have your work cut out for you, and I appreciate you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for
I know
having me.
we do. Thank you
It was wonderful.
so very much. Do you guys have gifts?
In
Like
terms
like gift
like
cards? Are you able to gift like as a registry item, or maybe someone wants, like if my dad wanted to gift me with that, or is that an option at all?
Absolutely, we have gift cards right on our homepage. If you click
Okay.
side navigation, and I believe on top as well, you can just go to gift cards and you can buy any of the services as a gift card as well. We're actually also in the process of, with the not getting, hopefully sometime in the near future, actually, as you said, being able to register for it if someone wants to do
Yeah.
that as well. So absolutely, it's always, I love when there's, especially in the majority of the experiences have been showers, but whether it's like the bridesmaid, a best friend, the mother of the bride or groom, when they give that gift at a shower, and I've received tons of emails like this, it's like, it's a gift that a lot of people don't even see or think of. So it's always sort of like, oh, I wish I knew
Somebody
that.
would have gave me that. Yeah.
So it's always cool that way to do it. So absolutely, it's a great little gift to give if it's something someone wants to do.
Great. Okay. Well, yes, I will make sure that, I've taken tons of notes, and I'm going to create show notes. We always do that. So I will reach out to you to kind of just follow up and see if there's any additional information that we could share with our Bride Friends audience. But thank you for being my bride friend.
Perfect. Thank you. And I guess just last thing is that for your listeners, if they want, I could create a discount or a promotion they want to get like a percentage off one of like a package or something like that, we could do that as well. I don't know if that's something that you.
Yeah, absolutely. We would appreciate that. Definitely, that would be great. So
Perfect.
we can figure something out and create a link for you to know what comes from where.
But yeah. So you let me know what works for you, and I get you guys like a discount code or coupons, so they could do something like that.
Great, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.